Hey everybody, this is Presto.
CorporalNosaj.
This is Nick Yeti.
Oh, and you're listening to episode 43 of the Nintendads Podcast. Hot damn, y'all. We have a special guest.
Hi.
Who's returned, and then died and returned, and then died and returned. How appropriate for this episode. We have the one and only Nick Yeti, who we had to have. We had to bring him back for the Roguelike epised. Nick,
Yeah,
thanks
definitely.
for coming. Thanks for showing up to blow up, baby.
Glad to show up for one of my favorite genres, and I no longer want it to be called a subgenre. I think at this point, Rogue is
genre.
Rogue is genre.
Yeah. I think you got me. I think Risk of Rain 2 was my first roguelike. And you were like, it's a roguelike. And I'm like, what? You like sneak around? And you like slapped your head and you were like, you're kidding me. You haven't played my favorite genre?
Yeah.
That's okay, because Corporal...
Risk of Rain 2 was my
Risk of Rain
first.
2?
Yeah.
Oh, really? So
Yep.
for both of you, Risk of Rain 2 is the first?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Unless I played one and like didn't know and be like, this game is repetitive. I actually didn't know this until I looked it up. Roguelikes are called roguelikes because there was an original game in the 80s called Rogue.
Oh my god, did you not know this?
I didn't know this.
God damn it.
I didn't know it. So there was an original game
Presto.
called Rogue that was like a dungeon crawler with procedurally generated stuff. It was a dungeon, gold rap, but it was all ASCII, so all like text. And any game styled after that game was called a roguelike because it was like the game Rogue. Who would have thunk? Not me.
Wow.
Oh boy. I got a couple more gray hairs from that one, man. I'm just straight up salt and pepper.
I mean,
yeah.
I kind of feel like I have to look it up and play it now.
So let's first off, because a couple of the games we're going to talk about are going to give enough of a finesse to feel like Rogue, maybe without having to deal with the text. But so Rogue, like you said, comes from the game Rogue, also known as Rogue Exploring the Dungeons of Doom. I didn't know that was part of it. A dungeon crawling game. The coolest part is that it was inspired by all the text-based computer games. Examples are Star Trek and Colossal Cave Adventures.
Like the text RPG adventures.
Yes, the text RPG, like Get Lamp. I'm sure everyone's gonna.
Yes.
Get that.
Oh,
yeah,
Christ.
exactly. So yeah, and like what you said, for a roguelike to be, or a rogue-like. Yes, there we go. Roguelike to be a roguelike. See, I have my own interpretation, and then there's like kind of the how there's there's the language German, and then there's High German is what they teach you in like American college. It's like the proper German. So the proper definition would be a game that's like that game, right? Which is a little bit snubby. So it's a game that's got permadeath, is turn-based, procedurally generated, the levels, monster encounters, and treasures for each playthrough. So like if you took away the turn-based mechanic, they would say you can't say it's a roguelike anymore, it's a roguelite. Now, to me, that's a little bit much.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, I think a more fair way to base it is a roguelike is a game where you're one person and it has all those things minus turn-based. It doesn't have to be turn-based, but there's no hub. So when we'll talk about like Hades and stuff, like you have a hub you return to. I would say a roguelike is more like the dungeon crawly, like you select the character and go. No hub, nothing like Risk of Rain where you can change your moves out. There's just one set dude. You can pick him, and then you go, right?
See, the thing that separates... So, to be clear, the two things we're comparing are roguelikes, so Rogue, Likes, like the game Rogue, and then sort of I'll call it a subgenre that came from roguelikes, Roguelites, Lites. And the differentiator for me is that roguelites have progression between your...
Yes, that's a big one.
So whether you unlock characters, whether you unlock moves, whether you unlock upgrades, there's something that is there that wasn't there before between runs versus roguelike. You go, you upgrade, you have your build, you go through the randomly generated stuff, you die, you're exactly where you started from ground zero the same time every time.
I'm going to say that you should start calling it Rogue Diet, because roguelike versus roguelite is going to be difficult.
No, I'm not calling it Rogue
Diet.
Diet. No, I'm not going on a diet. Unless the diet is only roguelikes, which I've kind of been on for the last couple weeks.
Is it going to have a sweetener in it that gives you cancer? I mean, we're staring at screens already. So.
No sugar or progression added.
Yeah, right.
So permadeath, procedurally generated, sometimes turn-based, not always, usually dungeon crawler, and then upgrades, right? Upgrades, some sort of leveling, some sort of progression with randomization. Is that, I don't know if that's technically a requirement.
That wasn't in the original, but I mean, it's fair to say, like, there's huge caveats now, right? Like, now it's like you can upgrade maybe their speed or something. Like, Hades is a huge example of this, right? So permadeath, we all say permadeath is a thing, but nowadays you have revive. So, like, Hades, to me, you get, like, one extra life, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
Except, but I mean, when you get into it, you end up getting, like, 3 or 4 extra lives.
Right. I mean, the thing is like, you have to earn it. It has to be part of a build, and you can't, like, it's just not a thing that you automatically get. You have to put, you have to select it. There has to be, I forget the thing that you have to do to buy it.
Like a relic or an item or an equipment. It's it's something you predetermine, not something that's built in.
I mean, for me, I feel like, I don't know why they just couldn't be like, you hit this point of the game, you get double the health, right? I'd be cool with that, but then like revive. They have revive if you were to count Streets of Rage 4's survival mode as a roguelike, which I kind of do. And then you can revive your teammate. Can we revive in Risk of Rain? I can't remember.
I think upon level clear, your teammates get revived.
So that's a revive. So then that's a whole thing where there's permadeath, but now because we're in the day and age of online multiplayer, there's revive, and then there's other upgradable RPG factors.
This goes back into one of our prior episodes where we talked about games becoming too casual or too easy.
Ooh. So, we'll get on that with Returnal.
I mean, the gaming industry has made things more accessible, but also probably not as challenging.
Maybe. I mean, it's kind of like Nick said in the beginning. Roguelikes are not a subgenre; they're a genre.
Now
they're recognized. Also, there's enough of them out there that, like, people may not know roguelike. Like, if you say, like, but, like, people will recognize, I think, like, games like Binding of Isaac and Hades. They'll recognize those games by name, but may not necessarily recognize the genre of roguelikes. Like, people may be playing roguelikes and not know that they're playing. You may be a roguelike addict and not even know it. Call 1-800 Exactly.
Straight up white pow pow.
So, kind of speaking on, I was thinking about this because I'd never played roguelikes, and as time goes on, I find myself playing more and more and more. And now, the kind of the inspiration for this episode was like, I'm in a hole now of, like, bouncing between Dead Cells, Slay the Spire, and Hades. So I'm, like, fully addicted, like you, Nick. And I'm wondering, and this is a weird take, but I want your opinions. Are roguelikes becoming more popular because of the popularization of battle royales? Because in battle royales, right, you go in, you get one life, you get all your upgrades, and then you die. And maybe you get some upgrades for your character, maybe you get some cosmetics, but essentially battle royales are a weird microcosm possibly inspired by roguelikes, right? They fit a lot of the same categories. They have not necessarily randomly generated, but other players serve as your enemies, and that's pretty random. Upgrades, permadeath, I mean, it's not dungeon. Like, there's a lot of differences, but do you guys have any agreement with that? That could be a reason why roguelikes have become a little bit more palatable.
So, just for the Fortniters who then get a little bit older with time and then try to expand out into other games, I can see how the similarities of this may make it easy for them to switch to this genre. So in that thought process, yes. But as a whole, for gamers as a community, no.
Yeah, I think battle royals aren't competitive enough for that. I mean, that's an interesting correlation. Before you said battle royals, you have one life, and actually in Warzone, you can have multiple lives if you win the gulag.
The benefit of roguelike games in today's society, with everything being so fast-paced and constant, particularly as you get older, dad lives and everything else, you're constantly on the go, things are pulling you in 20 different directions. You can pick that game up and not have to worry too much about relearning the game. You don't have to worry about how long you've been away from the game and what it is you missed. You know it's there's going to be a grind in order to get back in. So it makes it more easily reaccessible.
Completely words out of my mouth. It's definitely, and with our age too, I think a big thing why they're becoming more popular, we are the video gaming generation age, right? Yeah. So we grew up with, we grew up with let's say like Nintendo, right? Mario, Mega Man. I mean, a lot of those games they were ruthless, dude. Like, and hitboxes were crap. Ninja Turtles, all that stuff. So when you get to a game like Rogues and you get these kids that are like, "Why is this game so hard?" Well, the reason why so many people like it is because we grew up with, in my opinion, the harder difficulty.
Yeah, no.
So it's like instead of having to play Mario's, the same first few levels over and over again, it's like, oh man, I get to start and the first level is going to be a little bit different. Like, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to stop theorizing and actually talk about our favorite roguelikes. But we're going to turn this episode into a little bit of a roguelike itself. So I've taken all the games that we want to talk about and I've written them on pieces of paper. And I'm going to drop them into this giant jar and mix them around.
Is that a vase?
It's a vase.
That's like an unnecessarily big jar for this episode, if anybody's watching.
This is all I had.
Full crap. I know that Jess must have, what do you call the jars? The sauce jars. Everyone has them.
Oh, mason jars?
Yeah, mason jar. You have no mason jars in your house?
It needs to be appropriately dramatic.
Oh, God.
All right? You don't go in a roguelike and find a mason jar. You find a big green vase that upgrades your health or your weapons, but not.
I can literally see that in the upper corner of Slay the Spire or Risk of Rain. Right? jar of mystery. Might kill you, might help you.
So I'm gonna pull. We're gonna go around, and I'm gonna pull 2 pieces of paper out, and then you can choose which one you want to talk about. Because you get to make a choice. But if you die, there's no coming back. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I don't make the rules.
No revives in this one. I like it.
Okay, so Yeti, since you are the guest, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay.
And I hope I pick one of the ones that you wanted to talk about. I'm making sure I really mix them up here. Okay, so yeah. So we have Loop Hero, Risk of Rain 2. I already know what you're choosing.
Hero. Completely.
And everyone can now see Presto's handwriting. Thank you.
No, I didn't think about that. Crap. My son is 4 years old. His handwriting is significantly better than mine.
Maybe his speech too. Jesus, what was that?
All right, Loop Hero.
Also known as crack cocaine. So
I saw that tweet.
Yeah, that is. They like that. I think they retweeted it.
They did.
So this game, man. First off, I'm pretty sure it's dirty dirt cheap for a video game. Pixel graphics.
It's coming out for Switch. I think holiday.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
It's not
funny.
Jay. I know. I have it on my wish list. You can check, but it's.
the core audience seems to play the game stupid fast, which is going to be interesting to try to see that carry over on the Switch. I don't. I take my time. But Loop Hero is basically, you're literally in this like 8-bit loop you go around. And as you go around this loop, enemies spawn and you auto attack. And your auto attack is based off of the weapons you equip yourself with. And I think some people can have items. I think there's 2 or 3 heroes. And then armor. And then they have so many attributes as to what they do, like stun, double hit, what have you. But the cool thing is as you're going around and getting into these random fights, you gain a currency to build on your loop. And what you build is like maybe something you go through it and it heals a percentage of life, or another one might be like you put a chapel there, a church. Well, the church spawns like maybe ghosts or vampires. So all these different things you get can spawn different things. You can build on the outside of your loop, like mountains and grass and stuff, and if that touches certain other terrain type items, you could get bonuses or debuffs or all these crazy things. And then on top of that, you have to go through the loop so many times to spawn a boss. And then if you beat the boss, you can take all your stuff and go back to town, and there's a lot of loot that you can accumulate. So if you die, you still get a chunk of it. Every time you go around the loop, you have a chance to go back and end your run with all the stuff you've gathered. And then the coolest part about all this is that your hub that you basically can build in now, and you interact with other NPCs, is part of the game. Part of the game is the whole universe goes into nothing, and you are one of the only people that can remember anything. So every time you wake up and you don't remember everything, and you're just going in this loop, and you get more of the story as you are able to build more in your hub, the bosses you encounter, and all that stuff. So my favorite thing is the mechanic being part of the story, and they do that very well.
Yeah, that I was gonna say the mechanic, the like rogue-like mechanics being a part of the story. The only other game that I know that does that is Hades.
Yeah,
which we're gonna talk about so hard.
We'll get into another one that does that also, but yes.
Okay. So cool. That is coming out for the Switch, and that is a day one purchase.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's on PC also, obviously, but
yeah. Okay, cool. All right. I'll go next. So we'll go, or Corporal, you go next.
Okay.
All right. We got
it's in your control.
Oh no. I picked 2 and a bonus 1, but all of them are Nick's. So I'm gonna
you're supposed to make him try to talk about it from what he knows.
Make him and then watch me fail.
Okay. So we have Slay the Spire, Binding of Isaac.
Both of which I haven't played.
All right, then I'll take this. I'll take this one. I'll talk about Slay the Spire. So Slay the Spire, and Nick is gonna have to chime in because Nick has been playing this for years.
All I gotta say is I told you to get the damn game in 2018, and you were just like, I don't know, not my deal. Whatever you would normally say. It's 2021 right now, and this motherfucker picks it up.
I'm very late to the game, admittedly. But I don't like card games. The only card game I like is Magic the Gathering. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. Slay the Spire is a warlock. Slay the Spire is so it's a turn-based RPG where you're climbing up the spire, and all of your combat is done through cards. So you have a base card thing that you start with. You go through, and every enemy defeated gets you a new card that you can add to your deck. Or not, you could skip, but usually you get a choice between 3 cards, and you can add them to your deck. As you play through, you unlock 4 different classes with 4 different decks that play pretty wildly different. Some of them have some sort of energy gimmicks. Some of them have, poison and daggers. Some of them are kind of more traditional. And then you get relics that modify your run. That's like, every time you pick up a potion, you get damage or block, or, there's different conditional things. And this is one of the few games, because it's turn-based and because it's cards, this is one of the few games, let alone roguelikes, that I can, like, lay back on my couch and play. Usually, when I'm into a game and I'm, like, in an important moment, I'm leaning forward, I'm, like, getting closer to the TV. So this is one of those games that I've played hours and hours just, like, laid back. To me, it's such a chilled experience. And it's a very fair game. Like, you build your deck from scratch, and there's some elements of randomness to it, but I feel like it's super duper fair. Like, usually when you get killed or your run ends, it's because you didn't look far enough ahead what was coming, because you can kind of see, you know, the end boss that you're going to fight. Like, usually when you die, it's your fault, and you can learn what to do different for your next run. And it's different enough. You're always excited to unlock a new card, or excited to play another class, or excited to add difficulty modifiers, all that kind of stuff. So I've been really into it. I played it on Game Pass, and then I got it on the Switch on sale for like $12. I guess that's the benefit of playing like a 5-year-old game. What else do you have to say about it, Nick? Because you've been playing it for years.
I played it for 26 hours total so far. Most of that was in its first 2 weeks of launch. Yeah, dude, it's an issue. I burnt myself out in the game. I had to stop for like a year or so because I burnt myself out so hard. But no, you pretty much nailed it. I think. Did you get all 3 characters yet? Because there's 3.
There's 4.
There's 4. Oh, see, I haven't. See, like I said, I haven't played in over a year.
Welcome to the future.
So there's 4 characters.
The 4th character I don't like. People say he's overpowered, but I don't.
It's okay to have an overpowered character, especially if you have to like unlock it. Like, it's fun. It's supposed to add to the mix.
It's not. Opinion. It's like high level overpowered. I got absolutely thrashed with it. It's a stance based character.
Ooh, I like that.
Offense, defense, and then like a holy like blitz stance that you have to like build up towards.
I just think one thing that should be said about Slay the Spire for anybody who has PC plus console, depending on like what you want to do or where you like to play it. Like, I love playing on my TV. There's a huge modding scene, and the game on PC and Mac has mod support, which is really nice. It's organic mod support, and I'm pretty sure on their Twitter they'll always highlight like some mod like every month or couple weeks or so. I always see it come through my feed. So to me that's a big deal for me from a developer standpoint, or from a gamer standpoint from developers, is for them to give that mod support. I mean, it's going to make the game last forever. We're going to get a Slay the Spire 2 because of stuff like this, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Mod support is always a good thing. All right, Corporal. This is the roguelike episode. You don't get any mercy, so you better hope.
He's like reading all the games as fast as he can. He's like 12 tabs pulled up.
All right. Dead Cells, Star Renegades. Don't pick Dead Cells because I think I'm the only one that's played it. You're muted, by the way. Is that permadeath? Is this what permadeath looks like?
It's my allergies killing me. I have not played either one of them, so I'm going to have to talk about Star Renegade.
What do you think about it? I mean, how do you like it?
It's about stars and renegades and, you know, guys who are just...
How about this? If I pick a game that you can't talk about...
Yes.
We pass it to somebody who's played it, and you just have to chug your beer.
No.
I think
take a shot. Take a shot. But
I think that's fair.
To Nick's, I'm drinking a couple things tonight, actually. Southern Tier, Warlock, my beer. I will
get it.
All right, man. Don't come to your own podcast less prepared than me, man.
He barely made it to play Hades for this episode.
Oh, really?
He was supposed to stream it. He didn't have time. He played a couple hours of it. All right, Nick, tell us about Star Renegades.
Yeah, Star Renegades is freaking sweet, man. It's a so I haven't played it, right? But I'm definitely, this is the reason why I brought it up in the podcast. It's highly recommended. I haven't played it for the reason of I don't want to pay $25 for it because usually these games go on sale, and I haven't seen it on sale yet, so it must be that good. It's
sort of new too, right?
Yeah, it's new. I think it's like a year old now, which I consider new for like indie games, because it does take a second for the Steam to roll.
It'll be on holiday sale.
The combat's Final Fantasy like, which is great, and you move through like a procedurally generated world, but it has a really big progression factor to it, and that's pretty much it. It's got
labeled as a roguelite.
Yeah, most games are going to be
90% of the things on this list are roguelites.
It's basically a Stardust fantasy-esque sort of. How would I describe it? Do you remember Outlaw Star, that anime?
Yes, hell yes.
It reminds me. Yeah, it gives me Outlaw Star vibes.
Ooh.
So if you want Outlaw Star vibes, you like Final Fantasy turn-basedness, a lot of RPG elements for upgrading and what have you. Yeah, it's a gorgeous game. The combat's super cool too. Me just saying that it's like Final Fantasy like definitely listening to this, go watch a 1-minute clip. I guarantee most people that do will want to buy the game.
Yeah, turn-based sci-fi.
Cool. We could put that in like the chill category. I feel like there should be like a chill rogue category, like rogue chill, and then rogue crack.
Chill, intense, and then hardcore. Because I know at least one on this list I would classify as like hardcore.
Okay.
All right. I guess. Do you want to? I'll skip to me.
I can literally talk about probably 3 of these, so you might as well just give me the one I can talk about.
Okay. Here's the deal. I will have mercy on you. Okay. So I picked Risk of Rain 2 and Neon White. I will talk about Neon White, and I will pass Risk of Rain 2 to you for your turn. So we'll put this in our inventory slot, and then I will talk about Neon White. So Neon White, we've talked about this on the show before. Neon White is like an absolute cluster of different genres, but ultimately it's a roguelite. So it is a first-person parkour platforming roguelite where your attacks and your movement options are card-based. But it's also a shooter. I feel like I'm just saying things. So you're basically trying to get from the beginning of the level to the end of the level as quickly as possible. It's built around the ability to find shortcuts and speed run.
Movement is like Mirror's Edge. I don't know if you.
Yes, yeah, it's like parkour.
Yeah. I think people understand that.
This is the game that was just recently announced in the last Direct.
Indie Direct, yeah. Yes. Maybe, I don't know if it was the last one, but it was in like the last 6 months for sure.
Yeah.
It's not out yet. I think it's holiday or maybe early 2022. But yeah, so you have a hand of cards. One's a sword, one's a pistol, one's a shotgun. You can use your cards as their weapons to defeat the enemies as you go through the thing, or you can discard the card and use its movement ability. So maybe the shotgun gives you a double jump. Maybe the handgun gives you air dash forward. So it's a combination of knowing when to fight, when to use the movement, and trying to get creative with ways around the level to get from the beginning to the end as quickly as possible. Also, the story is you're an assassin in heaven or sent from heaven, and you meet other assassins, and then there's also a little bit of like dating sim because you can build relationships with the other assassins and characters in the game. So it looks batshit crazy.
Neon White is a lightning fast first-person action shooter game about exterminating demons in heaven.
Yeah. So just word soup. Just say anything, and it's probably describes
an assassin who is handpicked from hell in order to save heaven.
Okay, so I was kind of there before. Whatever. So yeah, this is probably a day one pickup for me because this is a Switch game. I don't know if it's even coming out for anything else.
It's on. It's marked here on Steam.
Oh, it's on Steam too? Okay, yeah. Cool. All right, so that's Neon White. Corporal, Risk of Rain.
I personally love Risk of Rain. It's also one of the ones I've played. I don't really know what the true story is to Risk of Rain, other than you are trapped on a random planet and you have to fight your way through different demons or monsters, which are random and randomized, and you then go through portals to the next world, and you continue on. I like it though only because you can stack your perks, and there are so many of them. So it gets pretty intense and pretty fast-paced.
Yeah, they recently added an end boss to it, which me and Nick were talking about this the other day. I think there's a way to bypass the end boss and just keep going, like, to see how crazy you can get the levels to go. But
yeah, that's what I liked, when the whole level is just a bunch of bosses attacking you.
I'm pretty sure you can still do that, but every time that I've played since the update, I fight the end boss and I either beat him and then it's credits, or he kills me in one shot. Which is
Tell you what, they added some pretty cool new elements to the game. I don't know how recently you played it, but there's there's the scrap bin. Have you seen that thing?
Yes, I haven't used it a lot because I'm always afraid to sacrifice my items. But yeah, the new class is amazing.
Yeah, there's several articles that are on here on how to loop through without fighting the final boss.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read those.
Yeah, so that whole, like, the fact that the game has all these hidden rooms, you have to do certain challenges and you can unlock these other dimensions and try these other things. Like,
and different characters, don't forget.
That's my whole point, is that you can go through and play this game 1,000 times and never once realize that those hidden rooms are available to you, and you do something and you accidentally get it, and now all of a sudden now you've unlocked a character. And the fact that there's so many characters that, like, other people who have played the game who have unlocked characters you looked up online are cool, so you can find them. But somebody who hasn't done that and just accidentally discovering a character unlock, like, gives me those old school game vibes.
Yeah. This is also one of the very, very few games on our list that is multiplayer.
Yes.
Because roguelikes aren't known for being multiplayer, but Risk of Rain 2 is. I think you can have a lobby of 3, right?
Yep.
3
people. 3 seems to be the
magic number.
Done.
Yo, but it's gross when you start adding more players. Like, the difficulty absolutely jacks up. Like, you need to really have 3 people who are, like,
decent,
ready.
Yeah, and then there's also the caveat of not to rain on a parade, but getting it on the Switch, if you have and your friends have other consoles, just by the time you get so many enemies on the screen, like, one of two things are going to happen, man. Like, you're either going to hit some insane lag, or not lag, some frame droppage, or you're going to start hitting lag,
between people.
Yeah, because I currently started playing on my PS5, completely different game, I feel like, on my PS5.
Oh, really?
I said, it's so, like, I can have the entire screen covered with enemies, and, like, when you start dropping frames, you can't see their smooth movement, so you don't know exactly which way they're going, or, like, the intentions.
Yeah.
Like, just having that fluid animation, so it's like, oh, now I know their intentions. Like, I know I can go run this way or run that way, which I feel like I didn't detect well on the Switch.
I've always been tempted to play it on PC, because most of the top level speedrunners played on PC, and I think it plays way different with mouse and keyboard. I think I would have arthritis by level 3.
But you want to play some more accuracy-based characters then with that, because having that, like, Outlaw, being able to, like, jump around and twitch shot something real quick with Outlaw on the mouse versus an analog stick is like, completely different world.
I play the loader, which essentially is One Punch Man, so I don't need mouse and keyboard.
One Punch!
I
just unlocked loader on my PS5 account.
Loader is the best. Loader is big. Okay. We are back to Nick. Grab 2 here. All right. Oh, I know which one you're going to pick. We got Hades and Returnal.
Oh, I'm the only one that can talk about Returnal, I feel like.
Yeah.
Holy fucking Rogue Batman. That game is so good. It's so it's so nice to have this company also. I don't have the developer's name off the top of my head, but they also made a release game for PS4. It was a side-scrolling shooter, but it was way better than any side-scrolling shooter ever. I should have memorized the name of it before I said something. Anyway, it's Returnal. I would say the best shorthand way to describe this is think of Zero Suit Samus roguelike game. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I got that. I watched a little bit of gameplay of that. I didn't see that.
The mechanics, it's hard to talk about all the mechanics without spoiling the story. Because there is a part where, things happen and you think there's a certain result, which, it just makes you comfortably feel like that. And then there's like a twist and all these things. And it's all part of the rogue mechanic. The part of the story, the cool part is your main character starts to become aware that she's returning to the same planet over and over again. So you find out early on that you basically, I'm not going to say what happened on this planet because the interpretations you can get are part of the game. She starts to become aware, and she starts talking about how the planet is rearranging itself on purpose. So the core rogue elements play directly into this game.
This is first person?
This is third person shooter.
Oh, third person. Okay.
This is third person shooter. I think some of my favorite parts of this is with the weapons. The weapons can come with 3 different attributes to them. On top of anything else you could collect, which I'm not going to get into, but the attributes you have to unlock by just using the weapon, right? So there's one weapon that's a really easy beginner weapon called the Hollow Seeker, and it does some cool crap. Like I'm talking about, so this thing is like this long rifle, and it's a machine gun that keeps shooting. Every few shots, it'll shoot out like this laser blade that goes and just slices through everyone, and if you hold down the button long enough, it will make a little void above you, and the void shoots out laser beams at the enemy, and it's one of the most powerful. Purple is the most powerful laser color in the game, and it's a purple weapon, or purple attack thing. It's just everything in that game, the movement, you feel like you're Zero Suit Samus. You feel like you're in a Metroid game.
It sort of looks like a third person like bullet hell too, right? Like it looks like there's a lot of projectiles.
Yeah,
going on.
I get weird vibes saying bullet hell sometimes. There is a melee aspect. So like I've made melee builds before. They are a ton of fun. It can be a bullet hell, but the bullet hell, the way they designed it in a 3D space to when like stuff is coming at you. I mean, yeah, it is a bullet hell now that I think about like the bosses. The way that it just puts it into the perspective and it comes at you, it takes it, and when you think about bullet hell, a lot of people think about like the general maybe first person shooter, like bullets a-blazing, or maybe one of those top down games where it's just, bullets all coming at you. But
yeah,
because it's in this 3D space, the way they approached it takes the bullet hell element and forces it into a platforming element, where now it's like, okay, you need to platform. Like, you're not just going to go, okay, I'll just go run over here because they're not shooting over there. Like, no, you better know what's over there. You better know what terrain features are there, because if you don't, you're effed.
Interesting. And yeah. This is, from what I've seen, this is like truly the first next gen.
Absolutely is.
Roguelike.
It's truly the first next gen game, because it utilizes, and I know we're gonna have a whole freaking stupid thing, same as the PS3, where devs aren't going to want to utilize the new tech in the PS5. Yes, anybody can admit, horsepower-wise, Xbox has it this time, right? No problem. I'm more into the architecture of this PS5, and they nailed it. Because when you die, that game restarts in an instant. Like, your heart's still in like the middle of a palpitation from dying, and then all of a sudden it just rolls to the next. Definitely, highly, if you have a PS5 and you don't have this game, totally shoot yourself in the foot.
And then respawn and forget that you shot yourself.
In the foot.
All right, I'm pulling it out. All right, we got Quest of Dungeons And oh no, I got two that are both Nick's. So
do it.
So we got Quest of Dungeons, Xenomarine. It's the double-sided one, Darkest Dungeon and Xenomarine. Right. So I'm gonna drink.
I'm gonna drink.
Are you passing me that double-sided one?
I'm gonna redraw so we keep rotating because Corporal doesn't know. Usually I would pass it to Corporal, but Corporal can't talk about this either. Okay. We got yes. We got Hades, which I'm not gonna. This is one of the only other ones Corporal has also played, so I'm gonna do the same thing as last time. I'm gonna pocket Hades down in the corner, inventory for Corporal. And I'm going to talk about the most questionable, maybe it shouldn't be on our list item on the list. Descenders. Descenders. So, oh god, my cat just yelled at me for having it on the show. So Descenders, you're gonna immediately know as soon as I start talking about it what this game is, and you're gonna
go, oh my god, why are you...
Oh my god, see?
Why was this even brought up right now?
So listen, so Descenders is a mountain biking game. You're a little guy on a mountain bike. I got on a mountain bike recently with some friends who peer pressured me into it.
Yeah, peer pressure would be the nice term. I think I told Chris, I was like, I'm just going to keep being a dick to him for the rest of the day until he agrees to buy one.
Every conversation with the last 3 months has been interjected with, oh, you know where we should go for lunch? Where? You should get a mountain bike. So, anyway, Descenders is a mountain biking game. And I was like, oh, like mountain biking's cool, but I don't really like sports games. And then I saw it's a procedurally generated free ride mountain biking game. And I said, okay, procedurally generated. And then I looked into it a little bit more, and it's like Descenders is a free riding, procedurally generated roguelite mountain biking game. And at that point, I had to look up some videos because I didn't understand that. It doesn't make sense. It almost still doesn't make sense. So basically, in Descenders, you have a bike, you start your run, and there's a grid. You start at the beginning, and you're trying to get to the boss level, and you get to choose your path through procedurally generated maps that all have steepness, tricks, and curves. So you could go to one map that has all curves and steepness and no tricks. Basically, those three stats vary, and then that depends on what your level looks like. It's also worth noting that whenever you're playing, you have other people just jumping in and out of the maps with you. So it's this weird, like, sort of live feeling where there's always other people, like, in your levels, which is kind of cool. Does that
have to be online for that? Or
yeah, it does have to be online.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's an online, but there's no collision boxes, so it's like they're not going to mess with your run. But if you're online, there'll be people in your lobby, there'll be people in your levels. It's just like a cool thing.
That's pretty chill.
So you go through, and initially you have 3 wipeouts. If you fall off your bike 3 times, your run is over. So you go through, each level gets a random condition that if you meet, you get an extra wipeout. You get an extra life. And it could be like, do 3 backflips before the level's over, and you'll get an extra life. So as you go through, I think every 3rd level or every couple of levels, you'll get a crewmate, and the crewmate will say, like, your ability to recover from really high jumps and not wipe out goes up. Or the curves of super curvy tracks is decreased. Or you have more control of your bike in the air. It'll be modifiers that will stay with you throughout your run. And then you go through the map, you get to the boss level. The boss level is a normal level, but then it has some ridiculous jump or stunt at the end of it that you have to clear. And then you go to the next stage. So you have like regular mountains, and then you go to a forest, and then you go into a desert, and then I suck, so I only got to the desert. But I mean, it's a roguelite. It's a roguelite. You unlock gear as you go through, like you unlock different bikes that I think it's just cosmetic. But yeah, your ride can depend, depending on what you pick as far as crewmates and what paths you choose, like the levels and experience can vary pretty differently. And it's on Switch. I think it's like $10. Like, it's very different. It is, I would say, out of all the roguelite games, this is the weirdest, like, the biggest stretch that it's even considered a roguelite on the list. So if you like roguelites and you're looking to do something weird and different, then Descenders. I would say.
I think the RPG elements save it to keep it in that genre.
Yeah, because it does have, like, it increases your resistances to the big falls, and it has the things.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hades.
We
all are going to have a lot to say about this game, because we've all played it. Corporal has actually played it. Hades.
One of the games in this list I've played.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
It is a big deal. So I will give the premise and the story, and I'll let you guys give the mechanics and the details.
Well, as someone who is not as well versed as roguelikes, Nick's been in it for a long time. I've been into roguelikes for a medium amount of time, and Corporal, you're like still pretty new to the genre. Yes. So we can each give our like sort of respective like thoughts on Hades, because I feel like it's a game that's meant to apply to everybody, whether you've never played a roguelike or whether you've been playing roguelikes for a long time.
You start off the game deep in the depths of hell, rising from a pool of blood. You decide to charge forward and battle your way through, trying to escape, only to die and be sent back to Hades' chamber, where you find out he's your fucking dad and he's a douchebag. Like, seriously, bro, I just want to like go outside and bang some chicks up on the top world, and you just won't.
You don't have to leave to do that.
I mean, dude, demon chicks that's demon thoughts, man. What's up?
Listen, you've only gotten whipped by Megara once. I'm just saying, the runs get better and better.
So you play the game trying to escape the 7 layers of hell, but
Four. This is Greek. This is Greek mythology. This is pre Dante's Inferno. This is Greek. So you have Asphodel. You have. I don't remember all the levels, but it's something Asphodel, Elysium, and then like the pits approaching the surface.
The Greek 4 layers of hell, but each layer is like like 5 chambers long, and then there's a boss battle at the end, and each time you play, different gods will be like, "Hey, you're fucking over your pops. That's cool. Let me help you." And it's like, wait a minute. Does everybody hate this guy? But then again, he's Hades. So, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
My favorite was Poseidon's Blessing, when you're able to do your heavy attack, and it splashes people back, because it gives them a pretty good pushback. I like the far pushback, because those fat guys hit hard. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we can all name our favorite god from the series too. That'll be interesting.
So, obviously, with each time you play through, there's different things that you can collect. There's different relics. There's coins that you can buy, you can use, and there's all these other different, like, gods who come in to help you. And each playthrough, it's different. It's a different god, and each god is different perks, and so on and so forth. You get back to your bedroom and you look at yourself in the mirror. That's where you guys were talking about earlier in the episode about spending relics, right? It's the relics that you spend.
The dark, I forget what it's called. It's like dark energy or dark jewels or something. Gems.
The dark jewels for permanent perks. And that's where you're talking about, like, you getting a health boost. So you complete one chamber of a level, you get 1 point of health back. And let me tell you that 1 point of health can really save you. Dear God. So yeah, I made my way through to finish the first level. Or is it a level? I don't know. I thought there were 7 levels. I didn't get far enough to find out there's only 4.
Yeah, there's only 4.
And Nick over here, Yeti over here laughing at me.
Titan blood is one of the currencies.
Titan blood?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he touched Titan blood. Titan blood.
Talk about Titan
later.
blood and Hades.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay.
He's talking about the dark when you do the initial mirror, the one that
sorry.
Nick skips.
Like ruining. I'm ruining storyline right now for him.
You talk about Titan blood and Hades, and I immediately think of Hercules, the Disney movie, and the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans.
So
there's a lot to unlock. This may be a spoiler for Corporal 2, but there also is 5 weapons.
Yeah,
There 5?
When you go into the first weapon chamber, there's only
There's 6.
4 available.
There might be 6. I'm not sure.
I've unlocked the sword, or not the sword, the shield, which is
Shield's fun.
It's fun.
Shield's great.
I
got my first clear on the shield.
I just don't think it does enough damage. I have a hard time with it. The bow is interesting, just because it's a good range weapon, but I think I still prefer the sword.
The shield is great because you can block. It's the only weapon you can block with.
Yeah.
And when you get to the bosses, that becomes really important.
So maybe I should start playing with more shield.
Yeah, shield was my first clear. I think shield is probably the most first clear friendly.
I literally I didn't clear. I mean, I only made it to the first level, so yeah, and I did it with...
It takes a while. The game is made so you can't make a full clear through for a minute.
We talked about how the roguelike elements are a part of the story. And the game literally starts with you stepping out of a pool of blood, dropping down onto the battlefield, and trying to work your way through this dungeon. And it gives you no context, or very little at that. And as you play through, you just realize your health isn't regenerating, you haven't found any healing stations or anything, you don't know what the heck is going on, you ultimately feel defeated and you die. And that's when you come back to life, and that's when your father, Hades, is like, you suck, I told you weren't going to make it out of there, I don't know why you even tried, you're a failure, get back to your bedroom. And you're like, no, I'm going to do this again. And that's when I was like, I see what's going on here.
Yeah, the intro runs that they're starting to do with roguelites, because Returnal does a similar thing. Very freaking cool. It helps with a lot of story. Yeah, it helps with a lot of the I guess letting you know that the mechanics part of the story, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I will say, besides the unlocks and the elements, and you can unlock obviously the different perks through the mirror, you can unlock different things for the weapons. This was I feel like Risk of Rain 2 was my first roguelite, but this was the one that got me into the genre, because it incorporates the story, it incorporates the mechanics. I feel like every time I died, I was rewarded with more story. And you guys know me, I don't care about story.
Yeah,
I typically
don't. Who the heck are you? I'm the story
I don't
guy.
care about story. Hades is the first game where I was really engaged by the story in like a very long time, which is funny because roguelites aren't known for their stories. But
not originally, but now.
Yeah. And I will say Hades is probably, I would say, one of the best voice acted games that I've ever played.
Absolutely.
Like, ridiculous.
I wish
like,
there was
Mags,
more of it.
every time... Oh, there's plenty.
No,
there's
plenty.
Obnoxious amount.
There's plenty. There is still some moments where you have to read something, and I'm like, give me more. I want to hear that again.
There is... So, I've played... I don't even know how many hours of Hades that I've played, but I am still unlocking things. Switch.
Okay.
I have never heard the same dialogue from gods twice. I'm still unlocking new dialogue. Megara's voice is the best thing that I've ever heard in my life. And hands down, my favorite god to get a boon from is Dionysus. Like, zero, it's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close. He's so funny. Zag, looks like you're getting your teeth kicked in. Here, have a glass of wine and shut your mouth. Like, he's... I love it.
Of course, the one drinking the wine would be your favorite.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Touching on what you said about sound and the voice acting and all that, that's a huge thing. Supergiant is known for. I don't even really like the game so much, but Bastion, as you're playing the game Bastion, there's the narrator. It narrates kind of like what happens in each segment, but it's like, moment to moment, and it's done so well, so fluidly. Transistor, another one of their games I told you 100 times to play. You'll probably play it like in the next 3 years. Tell me how great it is. Also, same thing. The sword in the game, though, is like kind of like the narrator too. So the sword is talking to you as it's also narrating some things, and same thing with all the sound and the voice acting and stuff. So it's no surprise that Hades was going to be good, but holy crap. It is a gold standard. I mean,
it's like I was gonna say it's a new standard for
when you have something like this and you're looking at AAAs, where the term AAA is becoming just such a cancerous term in the industry now, because you'd expect more from it, but when you get something like this,
And this is technically an indie game, right? This was awarded indie games, but this indie game, this is easily my top 3, one of my top 3 games on the Switch. Easily.
So the sword in question.
In Transistor?
The sword, like the storyteller, the game storyteller, is voiced by Logan Cunningham, who also does the voice for Hades, Poseidon, Achilles, Osterus, and Charon.
Yeah,
and
he won an award
Yeah.
He won some kind of award.
And Dionysus also does Ares and Thesis. It's Cyrus.
Theseus! No, I hate Theseus.
Cyrus Namate. I can't pronounce his name. But yeah, like the voice actor list that's on this is pretty impressive.
I follow the voice actress for Meg on Instagram.
The voice actor for Cerberus is interesting. Like I just find the fact that he has a voice actor is entertaining.
I think, so this game came out in 2020.
Yep.
The only reason, not to say that the Game Awards is legit at any point at all anymore, the only reason Hades didn't win is because they were doing that simpy crap for The Last of Us Part 2, which people were like, hey, like all of us, everyone was saying, like, yeah, the mechanics are better than the first one, and they're fantastic mechanics, but the game was literally 50% mechanics, 50% story, and they botched the story.
Let me tell you, I acquired, because we all know my long legacy of PlayStation consoles, I acquired a PlayStation console and bought Last of Us 1 because of how great Last of Us was. I didn't even buy. I have the ability to play Last of Us 2. I just haven't even bothered. I'm not even going to give it money.
I won't play it. I won't put the time into it. But yeah, that's why Hades didn't win Game of the Year that year, which is totally unfortunate because 2020 was its full release. It released in early access in 2018 on PC, and crawled through, and then so it should have made it.
It's Game of the Year in our hearts.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we've gushed enough about Hades. Let's see what we got here.
We got some more just small and sweet ones then.
All right, we got Binding of Isaac and Quest of Dungeons.
Is this my turn?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, let me do Quest of Dungeon then.
Okey-doke.
So Quest of Dungeon. Now this one's gonna be really quick. It's on Switch. It is, I think, $9, and it has a demo. Quest of Dungeon is basically Rogue if it had, like, you know, an actual character sprite, an actual enemy sprite. So imagine Rogue, but with like updated graphics that are 8-bit. And that's going to be a really close feel to what Rogue was. It is a Rogue-like in the proper definition and not a Rogue-lite.
I'm up next. I got Binding of Isaac and Streets of Rage 4 DLC, Mr. X Nightmare, obviously. I'm doing Streets of Rage 4. Good lord. This is also going to be quick, because although I have a lot to say, we've done stream after stream. We did a full review of the DLC.
Oh, yeah.
We've done a lot. We love Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 4, I don't think anybody saw...
Clarify, we're not talking about Streets of Rage 4 in the roguelike. We're literally talking about the newest update that was released.
The DLC, specifically the survival mode. The survival mode is a side-scrolling beat-em-up crossed illegitimate child with a roguelike. You pick your characters, you go through survival mode, randomized enemies, you get randomized upgrades, which you can choose between two from. You die, you're dead, no revives, no second chances, and you unlock customizable moves, which is very cool, I think. I don't think anybody saw survival mode roguelike coming on their DLC bingo card. I think the original promised DLC was they were going to add new characters, which they did. They added 3 new characters, all the bosses from the series. But I don't think anybody expected it to basically be like a whole new game. And now I think the DLC, the survival mode, the roguelike element of the game is the preferred, like, replayable part of the game. Weekly challenges with a specific predetermined but random. That makes sense. It's random, but it's also predetermined for everybody, so everybody plays with the same variables. They have weekly challenges and leaderboards for that, which is cool. So you can kind of have like a strategy going in because you know what's coming up. And yeah, best DLC for any game ever for the money. It's like $8, and it's basically an entire new game.
Yeah, it doesn't have any more story mode though, which I don't care about, but it was funny. We were at Chris's house, and he was asking me, he's like, what part of the game you want to play next? And I was like, hey, why don't we play some of the new campaign? He goes, no, the DLC, there's no new campaign. I was like, oh, still worth it.
I saw that question on some Facebook groups. People were like, how do you play the new story mode? I'm like, where did you read about a new story mode?
Yeah, wait,
or
what?
Did you assume?
I think everyone's just so pre-programmed to think, like, that's what you would have gotten, but got something better.
Like, no. Yeah, it's absolutely better.
Yeah, most certainly. 100%.
All right, Corporal. I don't think you've played any of the games that are still left in here, so get ready to drink. Actually, maybe Dead Cells, Wizard of Legend.
I have Southern Tier pumpkin. This pumpkin is spicy.
Nick, have you played either of these?
No, I have not.
Okay, I could talk about both of them, but I don't want to go twice.
Did you get it? Pumpkin spice? Ha ha ha.
My gosh. Go put on your Ugg boots. Go put on your Ugg boots.
Not until October, Jason. Not until October, okay?
All right. So I'm gonna draw again.
I live with a white girl. Pumpkin spice comes out in August.
All right, Into the Breach, Binding of Isaac.
Oh wow. I'll talk about Into the Breach. Binding of Isaac's kind of basic at this point. Into the Breach is a mech tabletop-esque turn-based RPG roguelike. And it's exactly, if you think about what I just said, it's like it's spelt like it sounds.
Yeah, is it on Switch?
It's on Switch, man. Yeah, dude. It was huge when they announced it. It was like there's a huge deal of the game. It's like one of those games that
I do. Now that you're talking about it more, I do. Yeah, it reminded me of Macross Saga.
When it was in early access, it was like hailed, and then you never know. Like you always hear like everyone loved it in early access, and I'm like, there's a million early access games, and I don't hear about it being good in early access until it releases. But yeah, it's one of those. Easy jump in, jump out. Pretty straightforward. It's got a I dare say, Advance Wars sort of overworld art style. But
yeah,
it's cool.
It makes sense. Mech.
Yeah, it's straightforward. I don't think there's any special bells and whistles that make it stand out too much, but it is done well, like extremely well.
Okay, cool. I think that's the only mech game that we've had on the list. All right, we're getting. There's fewer things in here. All right, let's see. I got Dead Cells and Wizard of Legend again. That's super funny. You know what? In the interest of time, I'm going to quickly talk about both of them because we're going on very long. Yeah. I'll go on to Dead Cells first because I just started playing this. This is my current addiction. Dead Cells is hella addicting. Dead Cells is I don't want to say a side-scrolling 2D, but it kind of is. It's a Metroidvania roguelite. It's the only
That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, it's the only Metroidvania roguelike that I know of. And you play...
There's a whole video of Metroidvania roguelikes out there, just so you know.
It's the only one that I know of. It's on Switch. I'm playing it on Game Pass now, but when I cancel Game Pass, I'm absolutely getting for Switch.
Because who cancels Game Pass?
It's awesome. It's so good. The weapon variation is reason enough to play. You got bows, you got daggers, you got like grenades, you got Molotov cocktails, you got axes, you got knives. Like the variation in how you choose to play is crazy because you get 4 slots. You get a main weapon, an offhand weapon, an ability, and an equipment, which is kind of like you can interchange ability and equipment, and you can interchange main hand weapon and other hand weapon. You do shields, you can go all offense, you can go all defense, you can go tactical to where you have kind of like, turrets and stuff. It's brutally hard. That's probably my one thing that I won't say that I dislike, but the one thing that I'm still adjusting to is if you get in a bad situation, you're dead in 3 hits. In some situations. In a lot of situations. You're dead in 3 to 4 hits. So you can have all these cool weapons, you can have strategy, you can build up your perks to go around your grenades and your turrets and feel like hot shit, and then the big enemy catches you in the corner and you're back to start. And it has progress and you unlock things and all the roguelite elements. So, but it's very addicting. It's very addicting. So, it's really good. It's one of my favorite. It's becoming one of my favorite roguelites. I've only played it for a couple days. But it's gotten me to stop playing Slay the Spire, and I'm now playing Dead Cells. And it's intense. It's I for intense. Wizard of Legend, I'll talk about this one real quick. So this one is also on Switch. It's kind of a top-down pixel-style game. You're a wizard. You want to go through your 4 things. You get different gauntlets that are the different elementals. You have ice, fire, wind, rock, lightning. You kind of build your thing around which element you want to go for. Lightning stuns, rock kind of moves people around, fire burns, ice freezes, all the typical elemental stuff you'd expect.
Fire burns? That's some
bullshit. Ask Johnny Cash.
Oh,
it's very fast paced. It's also similarly very brutal. Like you can die very, very easily, but again, addicting. fun, super cheap, and has the option for 2-player co-op, local only. So
you said 2-player co-op, and I was like, we haven't, and then you're like, only.
No, you can do the remote play on Steam, but it's not functional. It's so bad, like it's hilariously bad. I tried it with a friend, and it's just terrible.
Isn't that what you and I tried doing the remote play for?
Maybe.
Yeah, there was like an easy 7-second delay.
No, we tried it with Guilty Gear.
Oh, okay.
I tried this with my friend John, and he was like,
seriously, you did that to him?
That was a solid 7-second delay.
It's really, really bad. It's really bad. But yeah, Wizard of Legend, really good. Not quite as good, I would say, as some of the other games on this list. I would rank this like a B. Now I'm going to start ranking things when we're almost done.
For no reason at all.
If Slay the Spire is an A.
I'm the one who's finished the beers.
Slay the Spire is an A. Dead Cells is an A+. Hades is an S. This is a solid B. I'm just putting it in perspective. It's fun. It's cheap. It's worth trying. Corporal, get ready to drink again.
Oh, God. The only thing I got left is Mike's Hard Lemonade seltzers.
Oh, my God.
All right. You got Enter the Gungeon, and Xenomarine, and Darkest Dungeon.
Xenomarine. That's about when the aliens are coming, and you're a marine, and you shoot the aliens, and the game is like repetitive. It's you like go through the dark caves, and it's very dungeony, and then you die, and you got to do it again, bro.
The only thing you have to do again. Everything you said was accurate. Everything you said was accurate.
Oh,
everything you said was accurate.
Xeno,
okay.
It's aliens, bro.
Everything he said was accurate.
Good job.
I mean, it was very, very general, but it was
accurate. That's what
counts. Do you want to do the twofer and sum up Xenomarine?
Let's segue into that real quick. So Xenomarine is gonna play just like oh my gosh, the other game that I put on here,
Twin Stick,
Quest of Dungeon. No, not Twin Stick. It's Quest of Dungeon style. It's turn-based. So, but it's not turn where it's like you do your turn and the enemy does their turn. It's like if I want to move up on the next tile, when I move, all the enemies move in that area level. It's got Fog of War, so you have to explore to see stuff. So basically, you're in like, I don't know if you're in like some spaceship. Sometimes you end up in like some cave sort of thing. Each section you get a teleporter at the end of each section. That's what you're looking for. It's the teleporter, I think, to escape. And there's just all these different things that will come after you. There's drones that fly around these space stations sometimes. Sometimes they can come after you and try to kill you. Sometimes you can program them to be on your side. It's really interesting. It's very, very simplistic graphics, but it is a rogue-like. The only thing that would make it a roguelite is they actually added a campaign to it. So it came out as a rogue first, but now there's an actual campaign mode, which is interesting. I haven't played it. I'm in it for the rogue, but you have a gun, you have weapons. So say like you have your handgun and there's a snake 3 tiles away from you. Each time you press the fire, you hit it, but he also gets to move towards you.
So it's got kind of like a real-time element.
Right. Even if you want to turn which way you're facing, that's a turn. So if I'm facing left and I want to go, turn 90 degrees, that's going to cost you a quote-unquote turn. And then there's things like having a flashlight. Like I said, there's Fog of War. You can't see that far in front of you. So you need a flashlight all the time. The flashlight has batteries. So it has a very Soul-style punishing... I wouldn't say Soul-style.
Survival elements.
I feel like it has a Resident Evil resource management difficulty level. Where it's kind of like in Resident Evil, it's like, hey, I found this pack of ammo. And now there's this enemy over here. Is this enemy worth the pack of ammo? Now, people will memorize the levels of Resident Evil, but you're not memorizing it in Xenomarine. So then it's really like, you have these weapons. And you're coming across this thing. Should I take a hit? Should I use a dagger and take a couple less hits? Should I use the handgun? And you really have to decide, do I want to explore this level more? Do I want to try to find the teleporter? I found the teleporter early, but if you keep exploring the level, eggs might hatch.
Sounds a little bit like Risk of Rain strategy too.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. You're not. So Risk of Rain, you're crunched for time, and that's my favorite thing of Risk of Rain is the constant difficulty meter that goes up no matter what you're doing. This is more like, okay, like if something's X amount of spaces away, quote unquote turns.
Yeah.
Do you want to use that if you encounter
have the resources
something?
to deal with it?
Yeah, exactly. Which is it's really cool. And it's interesting because you would think like, oh, if I find an enemy, I'll just run away because if I go in the opposite direction, he can't possibly like catch up. It will happen.
Speaking of difficulty, do you also want to just jump in and recap Darkest Dungeon? Because that's Darkest another Dungeon. One of yours.
Okay, so yeah, a little bit of a big thing on Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is awesome. It is a hardcore roguelite. It is hardcore in meaning you're going to constantly recruit characters. You play in sort of a Final Fantasy-esque turn-based combat. But I say Final Fantasy-esque as a big one because
like a traditional RPG
sort of. But there's so many like caveats and things that could happen that make it not your turn then their turn. It's pretty cool. You have an overworld sort of HUD that you have to upgrade the HUD itself, upgrade buildings to get more heroes, to get more weapons and everything. And then you're just basically going through dungeons trying to get loot, to unlock more stuff. And eventually there's an end to the story. But the thing is like you're going to go through like hundreds of recruited heroes. Like sometimes you're going to have to be like, hey, these are my crappy heroes and I just need this one easy resource, and you're just going to have to pump them through. And it and it's going to drive you crazy. And it's cool because it's called Darkest Dungeon because when you're in each dungeon, you have a light torch. And as the light torch dims, the enemies get harder and more frequent. Oh. But it costs you resource space to have more torches. And those are serious because sometimes you get some serious loot and you don't want to, you might just throw out your torches and say, screw it, I'm going to try this as hard as possible. Highly recommend the game when it's on sale because it is a hardcore game. I would also consider it close to a masterclass game. That being said, Darkest Dungeon 2 Early Access has just been announced, coming to the Epic Games Store. I've been waiting for this. October 22nd, Early Access, Epic's Game Store. So, the bestest part about this, a roguelike that I know you don't have written down, the original roguelike, that you forgot that you played, Oregon Trail. Now, take Oregon Trail, right, the caravan-esque part of it, they're doing that with Darkest Dungeon. So basically, your overworld, instead of having an estate, so I should say in the first one, you have an estate that you take care of. So there's like a tavern you can go to. There's like, you can go and you can get some, a massage, quote unquote, in one area. There's the recruiting section of the estate because you're at your ancestors' estate. That's basically the story of the first one. The second one, you're in a caravan and it's giving off massive Oregon Trail vibes. Like you're going to be going in the caravan, you have to get your thing to continue as far as possible. There's things within the caravan to upgrade. The thing that they said was going to be the same was it's going to have the same, I don't know if you stop for each dungeon, but there will be the same dungeon crawl element of it, and the combat, they've enhanced it, refreshed it, made it better than what it was before, like you should do with the sequel. But
and you said Epic
October 26th, Epic Game Store, which unfortunately I won't be playing because I do not own a PC of any sorts. I have a Mac.
I'll stream it. You can live vicariously through it.
I am so excited because I played the first one, didn't beat the first one. There's tons of hours you got to pour into these games. So know that when you're getting into this game, that like you probably won't beat it. And they said that was like a huge thing with the game too. It was the same thing as the first XCOM. People loved it. It's a hardcore game. People pour tons of hours into it, but for the most part, not everyone beats it because it does get grindy. You know what I mean? But if you want to enjoy that aspect of the grind, like I know when I play now, I'm not going to progress my overworld too much because I might play for a couple hours and you're not going to get a ton out of it for a couple hours. There's so much management in the game on top of the combat. It's part of the game. So if you want to chill back, do a bunch of management for like an hour, know you're not going to get quote unquote that far progress and just chill going through a dungeon. This game is good. Like I said, I recommend it for everybody on sale. Early access obviously is going to be cheaper than the full release, so you're rolling the dice with that. I know it's going to be good, but if you are a more of a core gamer, I'd say definitely get this game. And the second one. You're muted.
You're muted, yeah.
I need to point out that you just rolled over what I think is the biggest part of that entire thing. Oregon Trail being
Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
I shot that pretty hard, huh?
Oregon Trail. I mean,
that was right.
You're right. It was.
Wow.
I swear to God, if they don't have a dysentery mechanic in Darkest Dungeon 2, they wasted everybody's fucking time.
Yes.
Oh my God. I played the Amazon Trail after the Oregon Trail, which was like a shitty knockoff. And the you died of dysentery was you have capsized. Your boat flipped over and you would just die. Like, you don't like water.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out the early access for 2.
Yeah. I'm so
all
excited.
right.
The caravan thing.
We got 2 left. Picking for myself. Binding of Isaac and Enter the Gungeon. I'll do Enter the Gungeon. So there's Enter the Gungeon and there's Exit the Gungeon. I think Exit the Gungeon was the original one, and then Enter the Gungeon is the new one.
No. No, you got that backwards.
I have backwards? Okay.
Enter 1, exit 2, because you enter then exit.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is a dual-stick shooter roguelike. Bullet hell style. You go, you get weapons, pew pew pew, they pew 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 back at you, you unlock characters, you unlock guns. I've never played it because I don't like bullet hell games particularly.
I thought the term was Bullet Storm. Or is Bullet Storm a game coming out?
Maybe?
I think Bullet Storm is a game coming out.
Yeah, bullet hell is basically those games where there's a boss or there's an enemy and he's shooting, and there's like one little narrow part of the screen that you can get through where there's not bullets. And then he shoots again, and there's another little narrow part of the screen where there's not bullets. It's basically the entire level is bullets, and your job is to like navigate through them and then also shoot back bullets.
So there's a huge difference between those two games. Is Enter the Gungeon is the top-down view one, which would give it like, you know, that proper bullet hell twin stick feel. Exit the Gungeon is side-scrolling style.
Oh, really?
But they absolutely completely make use of vertical and horizontal. I think
are they both equally, rogues?
But they're both rogues. They're both bullet hells. But Exit is they switch to a 2D. Not 2D, excuse me, a side-scroll-esque style.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd be more interested
kind of platformy.
Side-scroller, yeah.
Yeah, kind of a little bit platformy. That's not a big part of it. I think platforming is just to kind of keep it fresh.
Yeah, in the 2D thing, you kind of need it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, honorable mention to Neon Abyss, which is also a kind of platform 2D bullet hell kind of thing that I would put very much in the same category as Exit the Gungeon, and the soundtrack slaps.
Is that a rogue?
It is, yeah.
Oh, no way.
And I think it's co-op? I'm not sure. I didn't put it on the list because it's less well known and I've never played it. But
like you with the bullet hells. Not too big. I think that if you like that mechanic, that's awesome.
Yeah. Last is maybe one of the most famous contemporary roguelites, Binding of Isaac. I've never played it.
Wow. Have you at least watched the streaming of it?
A little bit.
Yeah, so streamer, it has a huge cult following, which is the best part about that game. This is going to be so out of character for me. The whole reason I can't get into the game is because of, like, the grimy, like, poop references constantly, and just, like...
What?
Yeah. No, yeah, there's a lot of, like, dirt, like... It basically...
Just, like crude humor, like South Park style?
Right, booger fart jokes, like, your guy's always
really?
farting, like, the eyeballs will have like poop coming out of them and stuff. Yeah, it got to the point to me where it was just annoying, and
it does. I've always looked at it, and I've been like, this looked like it was originally designed in Flash.
You got to look up the story for it. The story's like messed up, as to like what like Isaac is and what came to be with it. It's nasty, man. And that's coming from me. Usually I don't care, but the mechanics, right, is what made this game so huge. The mechanics are infamous to the point where now streamers will play the game to try to break it. What's up, Corporal?
Corporal's biting his tongue off. Yeah.
I just feel like we all know somebody who likes that humor. That's all.
I want to say it's humor. I would say it's just part of the art style. Like, I can only look at so many freaking, like, turds and fart blood and everything to where I'm just like, hey, are we going to refresh this idea? Right? Oh, no, that eyeball can shoot piss now.
Oh, God. Spider-Man cartoon maker. Yeah.
I've tried to download it and play it so many times, I can never get it to work. Spider-Man cartoon maker.
Spider-Man cartoon maker.
We'll talk about it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's an old school reference.
Wait, the jar of games is empty. Our run is over. Our run is over. Corporal, what do you got? Usually close things out.
Yeah. I do.
Do you have a side quest? Do you have an optional quest?
I do have a side quest. You wake up tomorrow morning. What's your random perk that you just got?
Ooh.
In a roguelike-esque way, what's your random perk? Now, naturally, when we talk about perks in a roguelike element, it doesn't drastically change your character to be, like, superhuman. It just enhances an ability you have.
My first coffee carries over 50% of my caffeination levels through lunchtime.
Okay.
It's usually have a morning cup, and then you have an afternoon cup. But my perk is
your
turbocharged cold brew, in where my first cup carries 50% of the caffeination effects over past my lunchtime. So, yeah.
Good one. Yeti?
I would say my perk would be using rest is twice as effective, which will still maybe only equal 5 hours worth of rest at this point. but make
you
my
want that 10-hour sleep without.
But for those 5 hours, you're out. You're not wrestling. You're not waking up. You're not moving around. You're in deep REM.
Yeah, I might even take 3 hours of REM at this point.
Optimized sleep. Deep sleep. The deep sleep perk.
So because of my job, I average about 12,000 steps every day, regardless. So, for every 1,000 steps, I increase in speed by 1%.
Okay.
By the end of the day, I'm moving a lot faster.
I thought it was going to be for every 1,000 steps, you do like 5% more damage towards insect-type enemies.
And to finalize our evening, my girlfriend told me our relationship was over because I was spending too much time playing video games. I think it has been my destiny to break up with her.
Is that a Destiny joke?
Yes!
It's terrible. It's so bad.
Does he still do this every episode?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Usually it's less obvious. That's it. Thank you, Nick Yeti, for coming on the episode. This has been a good run. And if we missed a roguelite that's your favorite, leave it in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And we will see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.